What is death? According to current scientific definitions, death occurs when the heart stops and brain signals plateau. That theoretically marks the end of consciousness along with the gradual end of the physical body. The term near-death experience, first coined by Raymond Moody, a philosopher, psychiatrist, and physician in his 1975 book Life After Life, emerged after researchers began to study accounts from patients who had been revived after clinical death. These individuals often report vivid, deeply spiritual experiences and heightened levels of consciousness. They describe seeing vivid colors, having 360-degree vision, or in some astonishing cases, a blind person perceiving colors or locations they've never visited in their lifetime. So what is this? What is going on? Some scientists argue that even though brain signals plateau and the heart stops, this might simply reflect the limitations of our current measurement tools. They suggest that residual activity from a few cells deep in the brain could still be producing rich conscious experience. So they're accounting brain for generating consciousness even in those cases. I want to challenge this idea through an analogy drawn from my own work with artificial intelligence. I've spent years building machine learning and deep learning models. Tools like ChatGPT are based on these same principles. ChatGPT, for instance, consists of billions of interconnected parameters, or you can think of little knobs. When you ask it a question, that question is converted to a vector of numbers. And that vector of numbers is plugged in to that massive equation, which I said billions of parameters, and it's called neural network. And neural network processes it and generates an output vector. And then that output is decoded back into words, which is the answer you receive. Now imagine this. You start removing those neural connections. What I'm saying is, little by little, remove the knobs, one by one, gradually. With each removal, the output becomes a little less accurate. After enough parameters are removed, the system becomes incapable of producing coherent answers. It begins to generate nonsense. Now think about the human brain. When blood flow is restricted and oxygen drops, brain cells begin to die, especially since they are highly sensitive. Brain cells are really sensitive to low oxygen. As more and more cells die, the experience of consciousness should logically begin to disintegrate into gibberish. So how can a few remaining cells at the bottom of the brain produce such rich, vivid spiritual experience reported by those who are clinically dead? I, as a data scientist, have listened to many of these stories. If we cannot explain these data, we should not throw them away. Outlier data are still data. They deserve to be preserved and studied, not dismissed simply because they do not conform to a materialistic framework. Some scientists write these off as hallucinations, but the pattern doesn't match. Hallucinations are typically random and chaotic, yet these accounts often contain a consistent, structured core that is shared among cultures and individuals. These aren't dreams, fantasies either. Dreams tend to be blurry, unstable, and of lower perceptual quality than waking life. Yet, in genuine near-death experiences, or NDEs, the ones that are not fabricated for sake of views, but clinically documented ones, individuals report enhanced perception, higher resolution visuals, more vivid colors, heightened smells, and emotional clarity. Several individuals and organizations are actively studying near-death experiences. Prominent researchers include Dr. Bruce Grayson at the University of Virginia, Dr. Janice Holden, and radiation oncologist Jeffrey Long. So some scientists are seriously studying these, and some scientists simply say these are hallucinations or imaginations, so throw them away. To me, these are very valuable data and they need to be studied. And by the analogy that I bring, I claim that it's not the brain that generates consciousness. I believe we are conscious beings who wear a kind of virtual reality headset when we enter this life. Our body is just an avatar. When death occurs, the avatar returns to dust, but consciousness goes on. It seems like we came here to experience suffering. But once we enter the game, we forget who we are and where we came from. We develop a kind of spiritual amnesia. Many people describe profound unconditional love after death. These stories really bring tears to my eyes every time that I hear them. They speak of a love that is overwhelming beyond anything experienced on earth. I believe we chose to come here. We came from love. We came to experience life, to experience suffering, and yet be loving to each other. Once the headset is removed, the fullness of our consciousness will be revealed. Death, as we understand it, is an illusion. This Sunday is Easter. It's the day of resurrection of Jesus Christ. It's my first Easter after I became Christian, and it's deeply meaningful to me. I know you're here because you're searching for truth. I hope each of you find it one day. Happy Easter. I love you all.